Working like a slave, that's how I made this masterpiece. Living like a god, I lay at night, I rest in peace. They remember me, but I am not Haram or beef.
Stuck in the middle of there and nowhere. If you can hear me, Lord, I need you here. Don't mean to phone you on collected tears, but every now and then they do fall. But I'm ready for whenever you call. I'll be all ears. Whenever you call, it gives me chills. Whenever you call, I can't stay still, but I can't recall the last time you called. I know these things are not stay up here, cause all I had, I watched it disappear. I know these wounds on me have yet to heal, but I still gotta stay strong, getting ready for whenever you call. I'll be all ears. Whenever you call, it gives me chills. Whenever you call, I can't stay still, but I can't recall the last time you called.
Peace, 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 peace. Light and illumination. And welcome to another BBT Friday Holy Day Book Club reading. Shout out to the technical difficulties to start the show, but also shout out to Noble Alonzo for the Journey to the Knowledge of Self intro we hit you with initially. But then also shout out to the Noble Brian Hicks Bay for that fire intro that we needed to get played. Peace, 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 light and illumination to all true light seekers, everybody in attendance, all true light seekers. As I stated, welcome to another BBT, Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School, Holy Day Friday Book Club reading with me, your Noble Dantes Smithell, coming to you live all the way from St. Louis. So from the Midwest to where you at, peace and love, peace and love, peace and love. If you are in the St. Louis area, we're trying to kick off the BBT STL, that's Temple 2. Looking for all brothers and sisters who ready to build in the St. Louis area. We're trying to make it happen in St. Louis. Because if we don't, who will? Islam. If we don't, who will? St. Louis and all across the globe. But I'm in the middle of the map, so I want to make sure, my brothers and sisters, my Moors in St. Louis, my folks in St. Louis, my people, we got to do some work in St. Louis, man. We got to make it happen. I'm not sure if you all are familiar with land banks, but, every city has these things, where you can go and get land. Right here in St. Louis is, prime example of a ton of raggedy lots, vacant houses. Some of them were burned down. They up for grabs. City of St. Louis is up for sale. And we're looking for brothers and sisters who looking to build in St. Louis and all over, here with the Burning Bush and BBT Temple 2. I'd like to get us started without further ado, with the Moorish American prayer, because that's what we promulgate here at the BBT. We are Moorish Americans, and we live, by a certain standard. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my God, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Shalom Aleichem, Ayah Asha Ayah, Islam, Amen, peace, light, and illumination. So with the BBT book club, it's been a while since I've jumped on and presented some books, to the community live. So today I have a few things that we might get into a little bit. If you're not familiar with our book club here at the BBT, we get on here and we spit the knowledge and we present the knowledge and introduce certain things for the first time to a lot of people, as things are introduced to us muftis and nobles of the BBT and anyone who participates in anything that we have going on. What we do here at the book club is get you prepared with different pieces of literature and information that you can have and study, and we can kind of go over different things. We have different things that maybe you didn't go over in school, when you were in school. And that's the good thing about, kind of being in more science and understanding, knowledge of higher self, knowledge of self, knowledge of the higher self, and man and God being one. We must study. And I'll tell you this, if you haven't been introduced to a lot of things when you're in school, I hope this music isn't too loud. I got Noble Brian Recall playing in the background. I hope it's not too loud. I hope it's not too loud in the background. I can't hear it. I can hear it a little bit, but not all the way. But I hope it's not too loud for my people. But I do have my brother, my noble brother, Brian Hicks Bay. That's Recall off of that his latest album, Transportation of Raw Materials. And you got to know you can get that anywhere you stream music. We do it all here at the BBT. Couple things before I kind of pull something on the stage that we'll kind of go over tonight in our book club, because I do want to go over some things. I went to the History Museum today, here in town, and I just want to go over some things. But first, we have information going across the bottom of the screen. These are all of our websites from the BBT. We do a ton of different things. We have, skilled nobles here at the BBT, and led, by the founder and the head of the BBT. That's the Honorable Sheikh Kyrie Goodman El Bay. Shout out to Sheikh, shout out to the nobles of the BBT. If you want more information about the Burning Bush Tabernacle, whether you're in St. Louis, anywhere you might be streaming us tonight, be sure to check out our school webpage. That's www.bbtsciencetemple.com. That's BBT Science Temple. To check out. That's BBT. www.bbtsciencetemple.com. Also, you can check out our other website, www.moorishhaberdasher.com. Islam family. Give me just a second. I was trying to share the broadcast. Islam. So bbtsciencetemple.com, bbtsciencetemple.com. What I want to do is actually showcase a little bit of our website that we have here. I don't know what happened to the option where I'm on the screen with it, but all right, there we go. So please visit the BBT Science Temple and School website. We're going to get started with our book club reading in just a second. Sorry for the delay, but I do want to show you a little bit of what we have going on. So a synchronized path of learning. Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School, more science with a map and a guide. Spirit, mind, body, divine creed, and nationality. Our commitment to health and well-being focuses on the whole you and extends to exclusive benefits and perks from our business partners, making your association not just a transaction, but a relationship of growth. With us, you're not just a donor, you're a part of a community that believes in enhancing lives and making each day exceptional by applied mathematics. Your generous $40 donation contribution to this cause will help to build a brighter, more enlightened community, one step closer to a world of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Please, Islam, become a monthly donor today. Check out our website. It's here. Beautiful website. Shout out to ALO Designs, our Noble Alonzo, Right Bay. Check out the books. Please, we have everything you need right here at the BBT. Right here at the BBT. Let's get us back up here. All right. So again, just peace and love to everybody tapping in with us tonight. Truly appreciate it for anybody who's tapping in with us tonight. Let's go ahead and bring up. Oh, not just yet. What I'm gonna do is just kind of queue up my next one here. We're gonna get something else going on with the tunes. Get something else going on with the tunes. And just kind of get us set up here. Get us set up here. Hope everybody's having a great Friday so far. Hope everybody is having a great Friday so far. So one thing that all right, Islam. One thing that I wanted to bring up before this first book with the book club tonight. I'm 14 minutes in, about to get going. For all donations to the Burning Bush Tabernacle, you can Zelle us at 602-473-8767. That's 602-473-8767. That's the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. Also, you can email us at burningbushtabernacle.ts@gmail. That's burningbushtabernacle.ts@gmail. goodmancurry@gmail.com. bbttemple2@gmail.com. So today I visited our local, so-called, history museum here in St. Louis, and right now they have an exhibit for they have an exhibit right now. It's called. We have this town that a lot of people in St. Louis were just introduced to recently, really, from officials in St. Louis, putting things on TV and things like that. We just recently discovered that St. Louis, peace and love, Noble Mufti Alonzo, what up?
Peace, Noble.
Peace. Appreciate you for tapping in with me tonight. Just getting started, Noble. Didn't miss too much. I spent a little bit of time kind of going over some other things. And right now I'm just speaking to the people about an exhibit that I visited today in St. Louis at a history museum here. And, what they were doing was kind of describing a so-called black town or metropolis, in the St. Louis area. Hold on, we got Sheik. We got Sheik here. We got Sheik here. Peace and love, Sheik.
Peace, brother Dantes.
Peace, Sheik. Peace, Sheik. Just getting
Hey,
started. I'm 16 minutes in, but I was going over some other things. We getting into it right now.
absolutely. I'm here to learn.
Islam, Sheik. Islam. So I'm talking to the people right now about an exhibit, that I went to today at the History Museum here in St. Louis, and they were going over a so-called Black Town metropolis in St. Louis that a lot of people in St. Louis just heard about, called Mill Creek. It's called Mill Creek Valley. They talked certain area of St. Louis where they said that this was called Mill Creek. So what I was saying in there, it just kind of led me to just today wanting to talk to the folks about just maybe a couple books. Nothing too intense, but just kind of seeing a lot of the misinformation that was at this exhibit just sort of led me to want to dig tonight on some Morris history, because in school, and at these exhibits and different things, they want to tell you about so-called black towns and different things. And they want to label us all these different things. People who want to identify a certain way, but you know who they're talking about, Islam. So
Islam.
what I want to do today, a lot of misinformation with this exhibit, Mill Creek Valley, the Black Metropolis of St. Louis is what they calling it. How every town had these so-called black towns. You got Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Harlem, and all of these different so-called black towns. How they want to describe St. Louis as black town is called Mill Creek Valley. I'm still doing a lot of research on this, but a lot of it is fugazi in general, and I'll go over a lot of that in a different teaching. But on tonight, I really wanted to talk to the misnomer folks. If you identify yourself as a black person or African American or any of these things, hey, I want you to know that we had a history and have a history way before what they wanted to label us with a history of called being black people and different things. So, and there were a lot of people in scholarship who wrote about the Moors and who the Moors are in America, and even Europeans would talk about the Moors. Is this music loud? Try the music that I'm playing in the background. Can you hear me?
No, you good. I can hear you.
Yeah, you good, Noble.
Islam. Islam. So as I stated, just if you someone tuned in to me tonight and to us tonight, what I want to kind of do and not take up too much more time is go over a little bit of Moorish history. Maybe you've never heard of Moorish science or what it means to be a Moor or what you were, before 1492, and what did they call groups of people in America and all over the planet who were of a melanated and different things. What we call, what is their history? What is their history? And I do have a good piece that anybody can get tonight. Anything that we go over tonight, I have a book bundle special going on for a $40 donation to our temple and school. If you don't mind donating to our temple and school, you can get anything that we go over tonight. And this first one, I want to kind of jump on the stage. Is a book. There's a book here. One second. All right. So here we go. This is a series called Moorish Paradigm that was written, put together by someone using an alias as Hakeem Bey. Lambert Wilson, the Moorish paradigm, in which he put together this journal for scholarship and educational purposes to teach a group of people their history. Because the history that you learned in school ain't it.
Islam.
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 What you learned in school ain't it. So I'm gonna keep that right there. Just a table of contents. And I want you to know, let me go, actually, I'm gonna go here instead. So we can see the prophet, Islam. Some people may not know who this is on the screen, and you may not be able to see him that well, but some people may not know who this is on the screen right here. And if you are not familiar, especially if you're in the St. Louis area, we have a street named after him in St. Louis, but you probably don't know who it is. You just don't know Noble Drew Ali Avenue. You don't know who it is. So this is Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Okay. This is a great man, one of the greatest men, right, who ever lived. But like I said, 9 out of every 10 of our people, I'm speaking to the Moors, we don't know who this gentleman is right here. We don't know who he is. You know? And that's a shame that a lot of people in my city of St. Louis, we have no idea who Noble Drew Ali is at all. Some of us have never heard of him in my city of St. Louis. Never heard of Noble Drew Ali. Islam. So I want to talk a little bit about the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. This is him. This is Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who in 1928 reclaimed back everything that was taken from us by the pale-skinned Europeans or by the Europeans. He taught us of our history and heritage as Moors. Do you know what a Moor is? In recent years, a great deal of information has been coming to light regarding our Aboriginal and Moorish history and heritage, right? And this new information combined with old information is a new light. It's basis of what we call Moorish paradigm. Now, this is what I want all of my people in St. Louis and all over the world, you know, what we have to understand about education or about the European education system. They would have us, the Moors, to believe what? That we all were brought over here to this hemisphere from Africa. And what they say was a slave ship, you know? The Moorish elders taught us different, that we were always over here. That's what I want my people in St. Louis and all over the world to understand. That we were already over here. Over where? In America.
Yes.
You know? We was over here already. Islam. They said we weren't.
Islam.
I'm telling you, we were. Because the Prophet Noble Drew Ali referred to our dominions. You probably ain't never heard of a Mexem. Amexem. And he said that it extended from Northeast and Southwest Africa across the Great Atlantis, even onto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands or the Caribbean. These are the extent of our inherited lands and birthrights. Shout out to Noble Alonzo with that most recent Journey of Knowledge Itself episode that we did.
Absolutely.
You know, telling the people, breaking it down. You know?
Yes, sir.
You say birthrights and how, you know, now all of a sudden they did extended it, you know? But what are we talking about? These are the extent of our inherited lands and birthrights as taught to us by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. This geographical description of our dominions is very similar to the description of the dominions of Atlantis described by Plato, where he said, and we know about Plato, but what did he say? Now, in the island of Atlantis, there was a great and wonderful empire which had ruled over the whole island and several others, the Caribbean, as well as parts of the continent North, South, and Central America. And besides these, they subjected parts of Libya or Africa within the columns of Heracles as far as Egypt, and of Europe as far as Tyrrhenia. A comparison of Prophet Noble Drew Ali's description of Amexem and Plato's description of Atlantis will make it plainly evident that they were both referring to the same place or civilization. We and our brothers and sisters in Africa are actually the direct descendants of the ancient Atlanteans. This is for educational purposes only. And our civilization was the one mystically referred to as Atlantis by the European students of ancient civilization. And again, there's different ways to break down the same thing. I'm coming from a certain pen now, just so you know, all people wrote about who we were, who the Moors were. The ancient Moors are known in history as the ancient descendants of Ham, Cush, Canaan, Phoenician, and Moabites, etc. What? That's crazy. The ancient Moors are known in history as the ancient descendants of Ham, Cush, Canaan, Phoenician, and Moabites, etc. The destruction of Islam was actually the result of a series of worldwide cataclysms, they said, that took place around 1500 BC. Okay? And we'll say that, or 3,500 years ago, you know, before the so-called Greek philosophers who lived around 600 BC. But it seems that somewhere along the line, an extra zero got added to the time span. Thus, it was actually 900 years, they say, before Solon, as opposed to 9,000 years. 900 years before Solon would be around 1500 BC as the date of the destruction of Atlantis. And we're just going over Atlantis, and some people may not be as familiar with that, and maybe you're familiar with other things. But this date would match the geological records showing global upheaval dated at 1500 BC. And this destruction was recorded by peoples all over the world. Some reported it as a flood, Noah, but as earthquakes, others as volcanic eruptions. All of these were all various local descriptions of a series of worldwide cataclysmic events. As a result of the various cataclysms, there was a vast destruction of lands and mass migrations of peoples in search of new homes. Islam. But the old civilization that was destroyed by these cataclysms is sometimes referred to as the antediluvian world. And after this time, lands and nations were redistributed. This is the time referred to by Prophet Noble Drew Ali in the Holy Quran, chapter 47, when our ancestors were granted the dominions of Amexem by the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh at that time was Amalekite, or Hyksos, called by the Egyptians Amu, or shepherd kings. The Hyksos, or the Amalekites, were a confederation of Hamites, Cushites, Canaanites, and Moabites from Arabia and Canaan. And honestly, I just want you to kind of go with me and just kind of listen to what I'm saying, and maybe something will hit. And again, I know you've probably never heard things like this, especially as we kind of describe things that we're describing. But we're going to get a little bit into more of the meat and potatoes of this here. Islam. It disturbed me, to be honest with you, seeing what they were saying about the Mill Creek Valley. It was disturbing, you know, because I know it's not true.
Right.
You know, and it prompted me. I had a whole nother series of books I was going to go over today, but now I got to go over this, you know, because
yes, sir.
Because it really disturbed me what they were trying to explain to me there at this place, you know, when I saw these things. So I'm just going to continue, and we have several things. So again, what we're doing right now is going over the Moorish paradigm where this one here is going to go real deep into a lot of ancient history of the Americas and who the people look like in the Americas.
Come on.
Who the people look like in the Americas, including St. Louis.
Come on.
You know, right?
Yes, sir.
We all know the type of things that we found or that they found in the Americas. We all know about the Olmec heads.
Yep.
That they found in the Americas. These Olmec heads, they look like Moors. They look like Moors.
Yes, sir.
They look like Moors. Let me go here. We all know, and this is what I want my people to see. Honestly, look at this.
Yes.
Look at these Olmec heads. This is called an Olmec head. If you ain't never heard of it, I'm just gonna put it on the screen because it was getting into some other things, but I want to hop right into what I want my people to see in St. Louis and all over the world. These stone heads. This is what they found over here. This is what they found. Is it showing Islam? This is what they found over here. This stone head and the following massive stone heads weighing tons, right? They say are of Atlanteans referred to as the Olmecs. The Olmec civilization is said to be the oldest discovered pyramid civilization in North, South, and Central America. Oh, wow. Though recent finds may suggest that the civilization in Peru and the mound builders in the southeastern United States, America, may be older. The Moorish features of what they say Atlanteans, these Olmecs, right? These ancient Moors shown in the Olmec sculpture cannot be mistaken or confused with anyone other than the ancient Moors, the descendants of Ham, Cush, Canaan, and Moab. Because many sacred lands and artifacts here in America are now covered by exclusive membership golf courses. Man, don't get me started on the golf course, man. Why? Have you seen a golf course? It's hilly. Golf course is all hilly, and they got different things in it, sand. And if you research, you know, water and different things, you know what that's for.
Come on.
The bunkers at golf courses, we know what that's about. And then golf courses used to be landfills. Islam?
Islam.
Perhaps one day we will send teams of our archaeologists there to recover the artifacts conveniently hidden in all golf courses. Look at this, another Olmec head. Look at that. That looked like one of our uncles or one of our granddaddies or something, right? And they told us that we was black. We came here on a slave ship. Man, if this how we look, if this how people look like, I don't think nobody came from who came from a slave ship from some other area. Look at that. If they look like that over here, oh man, that looked like me and you and all my nobles and brothers and sisters. So Olmec stone heads dating from approximately 1500 to 1000 BC. These are the proud and mighty features of rulers who were in full control of their dominions. Islam, and these heads were carved of single pieces of basalt, weighing up to 60 tons. Notice the small skull caps worn. Islam, these have a connection with the Kushite rulers of Egypt. Most archaeologists try to come up with all kinds of ways of trying to prove they are not representations of so-called, they say, African type people. You know, if they are not, then why do they go out of their way so much to try to disprove it? Islam, I just wanted to show some of these Olmec heads, you know. Look at this. This is from the Americas. This is where they found this at, in the Americas. You know, so all my people, look, this is how we didn't see that, you know, when we was at African American history class, they ain't show this. So I just want to make sure I show this so that all of my people see, You know, they didn't have this in the Mill Creek Valley exhibit I saw today. So I wanted to get on here and make sure all my people understand this is how it was in America. This is how it was in America right here. This is how it was in America right here. Islam. And we'll go down a little bit more of this. Some of these features, they like to tell us that we came from another land. But if you ask me, that's not the case. If this is what we found in the Americas, Islam. So with that being said,
Islam.
That's one piece there. I have some more information here. I have another work that I couldn't pull up, but it's packed with a lot of good information for all my people to just understand Moorish history and who we are and who we were in history. What about the American Moors? Because these Moors were the people who built the Great Pyramids all over South America, Peru, Canada, Alaska, and Georgia, that scatter all throughout North America along the Mississippi River. Along the Mississippi River, St. Louis, my folks listening in the greater St. Louis area, and anyone else, you know, who live off the Mississippi River, we right at the Mississippi. Islam. So how they gonna tell me different if I'm just told you, you know, all these people was off the Mississippi River, and its tributaries are found mounds built out of tons and tons of earth. Islam, one of the names that the Europeans used to call the St. Louis region was Mound City. Why they say that? Because it was hills everywhere, big earth hills everywhere. And
see, Dante, that's why it's so important for you to be doing this, man. You know, that's why it's so important for us to be doing this. Because you see how easy it is for they can just throw stuff out there in our face. And if we don't step in and say, well, no, that's not how history go, our kids will be messed up. Your kid will be messed up, you know?
Islam. So we gotta present the information, you know, especially if we're not getting it anywhere else. So, you know, with Sheik and the Burning Bush Tabernacle, we try to bring you this information just so you know. And you can study with us too. You know, you can study with the BBT, and we can send you Sheik has provided all of us muftis and nobles of the BBT with things that no one has really provided us with, you know, access to knowledge and information, you know, and we study, and we have to study and present this information, you know, and that's what we're trying to do. And that's what I'm trying to do today for all my people who look like me, because the people who built them were called the mound builders. These mounds, and they were the descendants of the Malayan Moors, or the Malayan Moors, Omics, excuse me, because these Moors eventually migrated to North America from Mexico and became known as the Wichita or Washita in the Yamasee, the Ben Ishmael El tribe. Nobles, that's what I'm trying to tell you. In the Ben Ishmael El tribe was a collection of what is now known as Lenape, or the Wapatnog, or the Wampanoag, or the Nantucket Indians, who migrated to Indiana and Illinois and referred to themselves as Moors, even though the United States government continued to classify them as so-called Negroes in order to strip them of their indigenous rights. You hear me?
Yes,
Illinois,
sir.
Indiana, we all in the same area out here in the Midwest. Islam. So I'm giving you that you ain't learned in school, unfortunately, but it's okay, because BBT, we provide information, we provide that knowledge. You can't be lied to, because we here telling you something different. Islam. Islam. It is often not talked about. It's not talked about enough. But the Moors, who had enslaved the Europeans before they enslaved the so-called blacks.
Hey, Dante,
Islam.
You said Indiana too, right?
We said Indiana, Illinois. They all refer to themselves.
Now, a little nugget for everybody to write down. Research Henry Hoover when you're done. It's gonna blow your mind. Henry Hoosier. When we talk about the Indiana Hoosiers, but when you research Henry Hoover for another study, you're gonna come back and break some more science down.
Oh boy. Hoosier.
Yeah, Henry Hoover. Yes, sir.
Was he Harry Hoosier? AKA Harry?
Henry. Oh, yeah, yep. Henry Hoosier. Yep.
As long for further study.
Yep. You on fire, nigga. You on fire.
The Ben Ishmael El tribe of Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Islam. Shout out to Kentucky. It is often not talked about, but the Moors had enslaved the Europeans before they enslaved the so-called black, and their women were sold for educational purposes only as commodities. No disrespect, into the harems and the concubines of wealthy Moors. And this is the reason why the Moorish nobles were the most, for the most part, bleached out and became known as, when we said tawny Moors or tawny Moors, the Turks, they said, or in the so-called Arabs, you know, which are no more than fixed mulatto races, you know. And this is also the reason for the Moors and the coats of arms of noble European families. Islam, the so-called black nobility of Europe and the Bilderberger group, the European nations, paid tribute to the Moors well into the 18th century. In the book, United States and Barbary Powers, the English, French, Dutch, and Danes and Swedes, and I may say all nations, they all paid tax or tributary to them. And David McRitchie, another scholar in the book that we can provide, Ancient and Modern Britons, says that the word blackmail is the result of this tribute paid to the Black Army, or the Black oppressors, as the English referred to them. The Moors had control of the Atlantic and the Mediterranean. This is why the Marines sing of defeating the Moors, from the halls of Montezuma or Mexico to the shores of Tripoli, confirming in song the extent of the Moorish Empire or dominions of a Mexican.
Islam, noble.
Islam, confirming in the song the extent of the Moorish Empire or dominions of a Mexican or Atlantis below in the first page of the Moroccan Treaty of 1787. It should also be noted that Shakespeare's most famous Moor, Othello, is also described as a so-called Black African. And Thomas Jefferson, man, they had the biggest statue of Thomas Jefferson in the Missouri History Museum. As soon as you walk in, it's this big Thomas Jefferson statue. As soon as you walk in, and Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin worked closely with the Moors in the Continental Congress to secure this treaty. In the Bevins collection, there are over 200 letters to the Bey of Morocco from the Continental Congress. And there were many Moors in the Continental Congress working with the European Masons or Masons, originally taught by the Moors, to form a Novus Ordo Seclorum, or a new secular order of the ages. E pluribus unum, out of many peoples and nations, one. Islam is very powerful because according to the Constitution, treaties are the law of the land. Islam. Jumping around. But one last piece that I did want to get into, real quick. Let me pull this one up. And again, peace and love to anyone who is in attendance today. Be sure to reach out and check us out at bbtsciencetemple.com, morrishaberdasher.com, mypdfbooks.com. That's books with a Z. Herbs of Mayat at herbsofmayat.com. I was just some of the many platforms, and shout out to ALO Design Pros for all of our website designs and management. Peace and love to Zoe. Let me get this together for us.
Absolutely.
Peace and love.
So I'm gonna stop that one, and I'm gonna get one more up here, and then that's a wrap, Jack. Let's get
Islam.
this last one up here that I wanted to kind of go through. And again, all of this is available. Maybe you wanna understand a little bit more about Moorish history. Please get with us. Um, I will go over emails again. Please get with us for these pieces of literature that I'm going over tonight, and much more. So the final piece that I kind of wanted to go over for my people tonight, for all of those who were taught that you were some type of black person, and you came from somewhere in Africa, and you don't really know where, but you came from somewhere in Africa. So what I'm doing now is just breaking down, other pieces of information and history, that we have. Islam, and I want to go over just a short bit of information, um, where if you've never heard of it, let me try to find it. Because what they like to do, they like to tell you who you are.
Mm.
They like to tell you who you
Mm.
are. You know, that's the thing with certain people in societies, man. They want to tell you who you are. Well, I want to give you some more information as we close, as we wrap up the book club tonight. I want to give us a little bit more to kind of consider for all my people who think they black.
Come on, Noble.
For all my people who think they black, I want to give us one more piece of information. Let me pull it up for it.
Take your time, Noble.
There we go, right there. This is it right here. Or this at least where we at. What this is here is that's another bit of information that provides us with just something else to think about, nobles.
Yes, sir.
Something else to think about when we look at what these other people said we are. We got a word called the One World Tartarians. The One World Tartarians. And they're going over a lot of information right there. But what we're going to highlight tonight for my people, the first natives of America, the first natives of America, or the so-called Black Moors. Author and historian Chancellor Williams said the original Moors, like the original Egyptians, were Black Africans. The 16th century English playwright William Shakespeare used the word Moor as a synonym for African. Islam.
Islam.
The 16th century English playwright William Shakespeare used the word Moor as a synonym for African. His contemporary Christopher Marlowe also used African and Moors interchangeably. Islam. The so-called Black soldiers, or our Moorish soldiers, specifically identified as Moors, were actively recruited by Rome and served in Britain, France, Switzerland, Austria, Hungary, Poland, and Romania. Saint Maurice, patron saint of medieval Europe, was only one of many Black soldiers and officers under the employ of the Roman Empire. Although generations of Spanish rulers have tried to expunge this error from the historical record, recent archaeology and scholarship now shed fresh light on the Moors who flourish in Andalus or Andalese. Islam,
Yeah.
Islam
Islam.
is a certain part of Europe, what they call something else. Now, for more than 700 years, what we said, the Moors ruled Spain for 700 years, from 711 AD until 1492. The Moorish advances in mathematics, astronomy, art, and agriculture helped propel Europe out of the Dark Ages and into the Renaissance. So, what I'm saying now, what I'm going over, a certain group of people like to call themselves black. Now, I'm saying that we are Moors or you are Moor. I'm giving you history on the Moors. You know history of black people. Now I'm giving you history of the Moors. The Moors brought enormous learning to Spain that over centuries would percolate through the rest of Europe. And the intellectual achievements of the Moors in Spain had a lasting effect. Education was universal in Moorish Spain, while in Christian Europe, 99% of the population was what? Illiterate. And even kings could neither read nor write. And at a time, Europe had only 2 universities. The Moors had 17, located in Almeria, Cordova, Granada, Jaén, Malaga, Seville, and Toledo. In the 11th and 12th centuries, public libraries in Europe were non-existent, while Moorish Spain could boast of more than 70, including one in Cordova that housed hundreds of thousands of manuscripts. Universities in Paris and Oxford were established after visits by scholars of Moorish Spain. And it was this system of education taken to Europe by the Moors that seeded the European Renaissance and brought the continent out of the 1,000 years of intellectual and technological gloom of the Middle Ages. Islam,
Wow.
destroying the identity of the so-called, they said black Moors, Tartarians. Islam. To close, we 53 in. I didn't want to go too far past the hour, so I'm gonna skip around, and we're gonna go over something they damn best to teach us, our kids in school, the transatlantic slave trade out of Africa. Islam.
Come on, Noble.
Oh, they want
Islam.
this instilled in your kids, man. This is what they tell us. I'm
Yes.
just saying. This is what they talking about. They try their best. They said the transatlantic slave trade.
No, but I think I just caught that. I just caught that word on there. That might be trans, not trans.
Come on. Come on.
Trans.
Come on, Alonzo.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Like in the trans. Islam. Islam. Just a second. Let me give you some libation.
Islam, transatlantic slavery, man.
Come on, Noble Alonzo.
Transatlantic. Would you say Noble Alonzo? Trans?
The transatlantic. You know what I mean?
Break that down.
Listen, you know, sometimes when you are in a stable and what they call coherent mental environment,
Islam.
you go to what they used to call a hypnotherapist, and he would do something where he would put you in a trance.
Yes.
That would for you to be able to tap into some other areas of your mind that you couldn't do in a wake state, right?
Come on.
So when we talk about the transatlantic, we might have to, you know, go in our hippocampus and use our tools and realize that this is a trance. It's a transatlantic slavery because it was something that's no Dantes is bringing to light. We were always here. With that, I say Islam.
We under that MK Ultra. Islam.
Islam. And you know what? And that is a way that we should look at it. You know, we
Yes.
should look at it like that. Islam, mental state, Islam,
Yep.
a
Yep.
mental state of mind, Islam. You know, especially
Islam.
for our kids, where it might be if you're listening. You know, we want to break it down so you can understand it as well. You know, it's a mental state. You know, and some of the other things that we're gonna get into right now will still allow you to kind of look at it, you know, from a different lens a little bit more as well. Let me see. Go back to some of that. Okay, so the transatlantic slave trade out of Africa, the out of Africa theory. So the story goes, some 12.5 million Africans. I really want people to pay attention. If you're in high school, middle school, elementary school, you're in college, you taking certain things, you just learned about this when you was in school. Well, let me maybe you will think about it a little bit differently once I just plainly give it to you like this. You tell me if it makes sense after we done. Islam. So the story goes, some 12.5 million Africans were taken from their homes and forced aboard slave ships that were destined for they said, New World, the New World. About 10.7 million people survived the horrors of the Middle Passage between 1526 and 1866, and only to end up in bondage on sugar, rice, cotton, and tobacco plantations throughout the Americas and the Caribbean. The out of Africa. The Atlantic slave trade is the largest forced migration in history. The so-called black people are indigenous to the Americas. I repeat, the misnomer black people are indigenous to the Americas. The misnomer
Uh-oh.
Native Americans are not a result of the so-called red Indian mixing with the so-called slaves. The so-called red
Uh-oh.
Indian comes from the mixing with the so-called European colonists and the Asians that were in America before Columbus. You know,
Uh-oh.
and the Native Americans, you don't even have to say the Americans were what they said. They said Mongolian Tartarians. A European anthropologist. This guy. He originated the out of Africa theory. Melvin, what's his name? Herskovitz. Melvin
Yep.
Herskovitz. The out of Africa theory that they trained and taught everybody since birth when you in schools. The out of Africa theory. Herskovitz never had any historical, any archaeological or anthropological proof of the so-called black people of the Americas ever derived from West and North Africa. And consequently, he crafted the theory that the black so-called arrived in America from the transatlantic slave trade. And I keep thinking mental since our noble Alonzo, he brought it up, the trans, you getting caught in a trance of sorts, which allegedly brought in more than 10 million African slaves, according to the National Archives of Spain and the Smithsonian records. And there was no evidence to prove 70,000 ships with black Africans ever sailed to the Americas. I'm going to stop right there. Man, hold on.
You said,
Man, what they said?
woo!
This day said, according to National Archives of Spain in the Smithsonian records, there was no evidence to prove 70,000 ships with the so-called black Africans ever sailed to the Americas, man. All right.
Come on.
This is just for educational purposes only. You have to know something else. If they told you this, we have to know something else that combats with that. It can't just be that. It has to be something more. So they said that ain't no proof of it. And Melville carried out the teachings of his mentor, Franz Boas, to make the original colored races of the Americas inferior and the Europeans' presence superior, the pale-skinned Europeans. Before this time, blacks, the so-called blacks coming from Africa through the transatlantic slave trade story never existed.
Uh-oh. Oh man, Dantes, you won't and see, people didn't catch what Noble Alonzo was breaking down the other day in his journey to knowledge of self, and I piggybacked off of it about that birthright
Yep.
citizenship.
It's
We
fine.
don't understand that 14th Amendment ain't for us. We
Ain't for
indigenous
us.
to the land. We gonna break that down a little bit more tomorrow if Noble Alonzo be available, because we gonna piggyback, and then we gonna come from Exhuming of the Nation and with the 14th, the 13th, the 14th, and 15th Amendment, because our people lost, man.
Islam. It was for you only if you classified yourself as a descendant of a slave.
Come on, Noble Dantes, and see. They ain't catching it. It's like, oh, if you would come over here as a slave or somewhere else, and your child born here, your child is American. But so that means they and Trump was trying to keep that for black people, saying that all misnomer black people are slaves. Nah, man.
Yep. And we trying to and we debunking it. We debunking it right now, especially with this next part. Americans or Americas. Oh, I can't forget this part, because as a result, Melville, the out of Africa theory work has been fragmented and used as propaganda by writers like Harold Collinger and Alex Haley, which further perpetuated and perpetrated the myth of this transatlantic slave trade through the hit movie Roots. Roots. And let me know in the comments if you had to watch Roots when you was in school. 'Cause I know if you went to school in St. Louis, you had to. You know, they had to play it in front of me. You know, in an AP class too. You know, so if you ever had to see Roots, guess what? It ain't real. It's made up. It's made up.
Yep.
So I don't know how the school can just show a group of kids, you know, something that ain't real, and they trying to make these kids think that people who look like them, this what you suffered. And to me, that's not right. To me, all public schools need to get that bull crap out of schools. All schools in general. If you
absolutely,
me,
and at Willie Lynch. Yes.
You know,
come on.
Why are you teaching the Moors something totally backwards from what they were? You need to get it out to schools. All the mayors need to make sure your schools in your area not propagating that bull crap, because that ain't got nothing to do with Moors in America.
Nope.
They say Americans were black people and they were not brought here on ships. Instead, they were enslaved right here on their own land. Some of them, they said, and they were brought on, they said, ships. The numbers are extremely exaggerated. Okay, so if some people were brought over here, that's fine. But what they said was 15 to 20 million slaves arrived in the Americas between 1540 and 1850. That's a 310-year period, according to U.S. history books. And it was pointed out that we have to point out a few questions. There, you know, we're trying to examine this, and you can't just tell me anything. So we got a few questions. Over a period of 300 years, is it fair to say that 60,000 slaves were transported annually to the Americas? Or has the transportation of slaves to the Americas been one big myth? Question 2, the largest seagoing vessel, they said, carried 400 slaves, but not all of the ships were that large. And thirdly, time of passage was 3 to 4 months, they said. That means 200 vessels or ships per year will have to travel carrying 300 people. One ship could make 3 passengers per year. And the transatlantic slave trade database says that there were 11 to 1,400 voyages made over the 300-year period. If that is the case, and each ship carried 400 people, the total number will be 560,000. Africans were transported, and still does not add up. And we already know that over 83% of all Americans were with African ancestry have, they say, Native American blood. Did Native American tribes help slave escape, or were Americans with African ancestry already part of the Native American nations? You know? And then look at this. After 20 years, the Royal Adventurer, with its 15 ships, had transported between 90,000 to 100,000 slaves, they said. That is a long way from 15 to 20 million slaves who were supposedly brought to the Americas. Doesn't that leave a little over 14 to 19 million people not accounted for? That we're not asking these questions. They just telling us stuff, and we be like, we just yeah. Oh man, wow, what's up with that? Or is this
Yes, sir.
was the so-called black brown birth rate that more accelerated than the so-called white birth rate? The calculated median of 15 to 20 million would be 17.5 million divided by 400 people. And the largest slave vessels, I just want you to know, that comes out to 43,750 trips. Can you show me a record where this many trips occurred? No, you cannot.
Nope.
Of the number of trips calculated by the so-called experts. You know, the same thing happened with the Holocaust in Germany. Can we say it? During the World War II, 6 million people supposedly, they said they were killed. They said they were killed, but there are not that many names referenced who died.
Nope.
Total of 6 million. Where the rest of the names at? In fact, the official story has reduced the number to under 1 million people. The same thing happened. And it's listed that these black native tribes are the Washita of the Louisiana Midwest. Shout out to St. Louis. The Yamasee of the Southeast. The Iroquois, the Cherokee Indians, the Blackfoot Indians, the Pequot or Mohegans of Connecticut, the Black Californians or the Califians. The Cal in California literally means black, B-A-B-L-A-K, after the name of the great Mama Kali, Queen Khalifa.
Yep.
The Olmecs of Mexico. We saw that in the last work that we went over tonight. Right, in the Darenit of Panama, Islam, and we can get into the 4.25 million African slave ships to Brazil and Mexico, because that's a lot too. But we won't get into it tonight. I really just wanted to go over a few, like we did, and all bundles and information that we went over today, including the one-word Tartarians and the Moorish Paradigm, book 1 that we went over, and also the American Moor. We only went over a few pages of that, but that's also available for a $40 donation to the BBT. I thought that this was something that I wanted to do tonight. I went to that exhibit earlier today. It was it's frustrating to an extent. Number one, it's frustrating because I've been in St. Louis a big chunk of my life, and Mill Creek Valley was never anything, some type of black town in St. Louis or describing anything like that was never anything that the officials here, whatever the case, decided to bring, to the attention of the misnomer black people in St. Louis. Now, all of a sudden, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, people 70 years old, now all of a sudden they talking about they had a black town in St. Louis called Mill Creek Valley. That was like the Harlem or the Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Right.
Something going on to where that now all of a sudden they want to publicly, they got all, what do you call them, memorials all over the place for Mill Creek Valley now, right?
Yeah.
Areas where they didn't even say they displaced these people. It's all other areas.
Yeah.
So what that means? So
and
that's all I wanted to kind of say tonight. I wanted to bring this to the attention of the people. What's going on with some of that? The history of the Moors, the people who misnomer black people in St. Louis and all over the world, all over the Americas. And it's a conversation that will keep going, and we'll have to continue, like Sheep and others, continue to promulgate our culture and what's needed. So with that, I say Islam, and again, man, just appreciate you and honors to anybody, all true light seekers who tapped in to the book club reading tonight. I want you all to remember to go to bbtsciencetemple.com. Check out the BBT website, learn about the BBT, learn about us and what we're doing and what we promulgate and the things that we teach here and our understanding.
Hey, Dante, how can we get that information from you? Because this is your build tonight. These books, they got to get from you. They got to get from you.
For sure. It's just the bbtsciencetemple.com is the headquarters site. Check us out. You go my email, direct email, if you want these books for me, $40 donation to our temple and school. You can email me directly at bbttemple2@gmail.com. That's bbttemple2@gmail.com. And also our main email for our temple is burningbushtabernacle.ts@gmail.com. And please, the Zelle 602-473-8767 if you would like to donate at all tonight for anything that you heard. If you would like any other the piece of literature there, please donate to our temple and school, and we'll send you that in either an ebook, in which we can. If you like to physically read, we have bindingbooks.com where we bind expensive books, but we can also do this bundle for you as well tonight if you would like. So just please reach out to us, bbttemple2@gmail.com for all inquiries. Peace, light, and illumination to all those involved in our broadcast tonight and everyone who tapped in online. So Nobles, I appreciate you, Sheik and Noble Alonzo, for tapping in with us tonight as well. Did you have any parting words before we get out of here?
I just wanted to share, if anybody not familiar with the 1828 Webster Dictionary, I really suggest you to get with Dantes. We have that as an ebook as well. But in the 1828 Webster Dictionary, you got to look up what an American is. An American was described as both an adjective and a noun. And an American is a native of America, like Dante has been saying, originally applied to the Aboriginals or the copper color races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America. You have to understand this for clarity. So I just want to give gratitude to you, Noble Dantes. I want to give gratitude to Noble Alonzo for bringing that birthright citizenship up and breaking it down from a more science perspective and from what our prophet did. And if Nobles will be here tomorrow, we're going to build on that a little bit. And of course, tomorrow is what? The day of the Kiefer. We're going to break that down again, to let our brothers and sisters know. So just gratitude for y'all, man, and taking the time to build, because this is so important for us. And I just have gratitude, Noble. Gratitude.
Islam, I second that, Noble. Sheik, to Noble Dantes, gratitude for your demonstration and shedding light on tonight. And, one thing you also said, when we also learning, as we're growing, things can become frustrating, disappointing, when you're receiving new information to some, right? But there's nothing new under the sun. So what we got to get to point is we got to get to the point of discernment, because the knowledge got to get to the wisdom. Like the things that we're learning have to be applied to our lives. And that comes in, the pendulum swings as far as to the left, to the right. So that means that our frustration, sometimes our temperament, we need to temper it with applying these lessons as Noble Dantes is doing tonight, to give us discernment, to allow us to see between what we haven't seen before. That's the key. That's the discernment. So like when Little Red Riding Hood went in the forest, and she came upon what she thought was her grandmother. After a while, she started asking questions. That's that discernment. That's that. Well, grandma, how big your hands are? Like, wait, certain things start not making sense after a while.
Yep,
that's where we at. So what you say, Islam, to that, gratitude and love for the demonstration. Peace.
Peace.
Gratitude and love.
You know that. Gratitude.
Peace and love, man, to all light seekers. Islam, Noble, Sheik, Alonzo, Noble. Appreciate y'all for just being here with me tonight. Let's keep this thing going. We got a lot of work. Let's keep this thing going.
Yes, sir.
Islam.
The Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is our protector, our God, and our salvation, by night and by day through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Shalom Aleichem, Ayah Asha Ayah, Islam, Amen. Peace, light, illumination.
Peace. Peace and love. One love.
One love. You know that Gnostics. You know the science.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
I'm a spirit speaking, truth seeking. seeking heart, reaching knowledge, leaking seeds, sowing harvest, reaping man of meager means. I have yet to leave, I'm still breathing. To quit, I have no reason. I mean, I'm asleep, but I be trying to live my dreams. I cannot even act if it's all easy. Either you gon' do it or you don't. Really, it ain't no in between. Baby, you can ask the sun, it's an everyday theme. Consistency in your routine is how you bring reality. Working like a slave, that's how I made this masterpiece. Living like a god, I lay at night, I rest in peace. They remember me, but I am not Haram beef.
Gratitude.